Hey, babe, could you do me a favor?
Sure, babe.
Remind me to thank you for making sure we're here 4 hours prior to 10 minutes before our actual appointment.
Could you not right now? We need this.
Your name is Benegrain, and yours is Bravian? Oh!
Yes, it's Gaelic for she wolf warrior.
Really?
No.
We have another great show lined up for you tonight, so don't go anywhere. Stay right where you are. We'll be right back. This is take two. The microphone just suddenly went off by itself. Take two. Good evening, everyone. I'm Robert DeLesso, and welcome to Rob's Inner Circle Broadcasting Live. A very happy Valentine's to each and every one of our viewers tuning in tonight. Thank you so much for tuning in. We have an exciting show for all of you tonight. We want to give our usual shout out to the amazing producer of Rob's Inner Circle, Miss Jenny Duhame. And to the podcast tech on the show, Patty, Ladies, Starlight, Saragossa. We have a couple of birthday wishes for our some of our audience. And the first ones are going to go to past birthday wish. Is going to be going to Anwar Stewart, former Montreal Alouettes player. Who celebrated his birthday February 9th. February 11th, was celebrated by Hollywood film director Jason A. White. Today, Valentina girl, all the way from down under in Australia, Miss Jessica Sorrell celebrates her birthday. And upcoming birthday this upcoming Wednesday, February 16th, film producer Byron A. Martin. So from all of us to all of you, happy birthday. Be sure to watch Daily Struggles, this sitcom everyone is talking about, at the Rise Up TV channel on the Roku streaming service. Download the Roku app on your smart devices, or you can get the Roku stick at Amazon.ca for as little as $30. Make sure you watch all of our productions on the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel. Comment, share, click on the like button, subscribe to the Bobby Short Shorts YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell, because every time there's a new production coming out, you will be the first to know. All of the Rob's Inner Circle merchandise is readily available at 514brandingco.com. We have amazing t-shirts, coffee cups, mugs, comforters, pillows, you name it, we've got it. It's all at 514brandingco.com. Well, folks, it's time to slip into our weekly ritual once again. It's time to sit back, kick up your feet, take a deep breath, and let us carry the load, and let us all enjoy this amazing Super Valentine's special we have for you tonight. We have not one, but two talented people coming to you live from Hollywood, California this evening. Our first guest, she's an actor and a producer, and she played in Relationship Killers. Here she is, the lovely and talented Assia Lau'ren. Hey, Assia, welcome to Rob's Inner Circle.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. It's so nice to have you along, and we're going to be introducing Noah. Noah, where are you, Noah? Because we just see like a little dot and we don't see Noah. Oh, technology. He's ready to come on. So we also have the writer, director, and producer of Relationship Killers, who's got a tight-knit relationship with our amazing actress on our show tonight, the amazing Noah A. Walters III. Noah, welcome to Rob's Inner Circle.
Thank you for having me.
Such an amazing and exciting show for everybody tonight. And we all agree this was unscripted, by the way. We all agreed to our glass of wine. Hey, this is for you guys. Cheers from Rob's Inner Circle. All of us to you.
Cheers. Thank you for having us.
Wow. We have so much to talk about. First of all, on behalf of myself and the rest of the production here, we would like to congratulate you on the Relationship Killers.
Thank you.
So,
thank you so much.
So the movie, the movie is being well received. We understand.
So far, yeah, a very select few of individuals have seen the final cut, and for me, the response has been overwhelmingly positive, and I'm very grateful.
Okay, so you were saying off camera, Noah, that the Relationship Killers has sprung up new opportunities for you. Which ones do you mean?
Well, I'm just, I've got meetings and I got phone calls and opportunities to pitch and to bring ideas to companies and individuals. I've never had the opportunity to do so because for the most part, up until now, everyone's known me as either a line producer or a stand-up comedian. When at the end of the day, from the bottom of my heart, of writing and directing character-driven, darker stories is just where I'm supposed to be doing what I'm supposed to be doing in my life.
So, Noah, you're happy with the final product. You love everything about your movie, from the overall production, the actors' performances. Is there a particular aspect that went into your film that makes you most proud of what you're seeing on the screen right now?
Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, we got a extremely high quality piece of work from a really phenomenal cast and crew. And what I'm the most proud of is that everyone who put in the hard work to make me look good is going to receive the clout themselves as well. And that means everything to me, because I couldn't have done none of this without all of them. So I'm very excited to see what others benefit from by contributing to what we did with Relationship Killers.
So Noah, you're working on a new film with one of the producers from Relationship Killers. How about a little bit of a teaser, if you'll permit? What's going on with this movie?
Well, we're working on several films together. You might be a little more specific.
Well, you said that you were working on one of the producers from Relationship Killers, and you were working on a specific film, and you were on set the other day when we had
Oh, got you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So Sheldon A. Smith, who is he's a musician, talent manager, and a good friend of mine as well. But he's well known for playing Warren G in Straight Outta Compton, and he's had a series of really great other acting roles as well. And me and him have kind of been together for like 2 or 3 years now. Just bumping around the industry. Sometimes he'll put me on a gig. I'll put him on a gig. We try and work together as much as we can. And we've been dealing with this feature for a very, very long time that the plug got pulled on it, at the 90. I'm not a good sports reference guy. The 99-yard line, I guess. whatever. Whatever's we're so close to the end, and then investors. Investors pulled out because of another film that went wide, or the trailer went wide and had a similar marketing characteristic that we were using, and so we're revitalizing it and retooling it, and we're also setting it inside a universe that I've been working on since I was a kid, called Lethal Ladies, and Lethal Ladies is a cinematic universe that our film Relationship Killer introduces 2 characters from inside of that universe, And so in that way, you know, Asia and I will be working together for a career. And so she will be in Cheater, which is the film I'm doing with Sheldon A. Smith. Yeah, we were talking to a DP and some investors the other night, working on a different film with him. And then I've done a couple of music videos for several of his clients. So that's probably going to be my first feature, that or a feature film called Wendy, which is a contained psychological sci-fi thriller set in the film noir version of a Choctaw mythology origin story.
Asia, let's get to you. We're going to give you a chance to talk right now. Asia, you were absolutely brilliant in The Relationship Killers. What do you like most about being on the set?
About being on the set?
Being on the set of The Relationship Killers, how was your experience?
It felt very easy. We had all been working together, doing rehearsals for about 9 months. So when we finally got to set, it was really exciting and really refreshing to just like be in the flesh with everyone. Everybody was really comfortable. We knew exactly what we were going to be doing. And yeah, it was really, really fun. Yeah.
Both you and your co-host, Lexi McCowan, looked absolutely brilliant together. You had a lot of chemistry on the set. And it's as if we get the impression that you guys worked together like 1,000 times.
No, we didn't. But though we had rehearsals as a cast with Noah and like once a week we would rehearse, me and Lexi would set aside time about 2 to 3 times a week. And we would meet on our own to just get to know each other, go over the lines, you know, just get comfortable with one another. And yeah, there's actually like a true friendship there. So that's what you saw.
You know what? This calls for that moment. You guys got your glasses ready?
Oh,
I drink to that.
Cheers to that. Yes.
Cheers.
Yes.
Asia, which challenges did you have to overcome while you were filming Relationship Killers?
What challenges did I have to overcome? So aside from
Her director's dancing skills.
no, no, we did dance. We did dance on set a lot, which was fun.
Really?
Yes, we did. But I'd say, challenge I had to overcome. Aside from practicing the dialect, but for my character, I wouldn't say that was really a challenge. It just helped me dive more into the character. It's not easy, but it's one thing to act, to portray a character in, you know, in all the ways that you already are. But when you throw on an accent, that kind of thrusts you really deep into that person. And so I'd say leading up to shooting, that was my main concern, was the accent. So I'd say if there was a challenge, it was that. Noah, as a writer and director, he is a dead letter perfect sort of person. So we had to be dead letter perfect. And that wasn't a challenge, but it was like in the back of my mind, like, okay, we're going to get all of these words correct. But yeah, no, challenge, not really, but fun. I think really fun. And it helped get into the character as deep as I could.
So for those of you who just tuned in, we have 2 special guests tonight coming to you live from Hollywood, California. We got actor Asia, and we also got director Noah. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And please feel free to ask our guests some questions. They'll be more than obliged to answer whatever questions they have. So let's get back to Noah a little bit. Noah, tell us, what is it exactly that inspired you to write Relationship Killers?
So, like I said, Lethal Ladies is a world that I've lived in my imagination since I was a kid, and I knew these 2 characters. They existed slightly differently previously in my head. It was originally a heteronormative couple, and I always knew that they both needed to be struggling quite severely with mental illness issues, and they needed to be struggling with a cognitive dissonance between how dark and how powerful the negative parts of their brain are compared to how powerful and how passionate the positive sides of their hearts were for one another. And at the end of the day, you know, it's two extremely flawed people who are struggling, but it's a sign of hope because they're struggling because they actually love each other and want to try and help each other and stay together and better together. You know, betterment and mental illness are two things that are extremely near and dear to my heart and something that I'm passionate about. So the fact that, you know, it organically turned into a piece where our two leads were, two lesbian lovers from the BIPOC community, but that's not essential to the story at all. You know, we never even bring it up. It's just a thing. It's just what these people are. It has nothing to do with who they are, because who they are is so much more interesting, and who they are is everything as far as stair-stepping the stakes up, you know, all the way to the third act, and then the reveal at the end, the explosion. I've always known who these characters are, and I finally got the opportunity to properly introduce them to the world. And like I said, you know, me and Assia and me and Lexi are going on to do other things where they won't play those characters anymore, but those characters are still there for someone else to take up the mantle. And the characters they're going to, let's just say it was easier for me to introduce them to how I work in this in this film than the two films we're about playing now. So my material is extremely dark, but I think everyone who's worked with me knows that I take very good care of my cast and crew. I make sure that everyone's comfortable, that we know trigger warnings, that we know how to help if there's a situation where intimacy consultation needs to happen, or if you have a repair pattern from trauma, because while we are working in extremely dark material, the characters' honesty and integrity to whom they are is everything. So whatever I can do to facilitate that and still protect the sanity and the safety of my cast and crew is my main goal at all times.
So dark material coming from a bright guy.
Okay, sure.
All right, Mr. Comedian Rob.
Hey guys, you know, one day I'm gonna try my hand at it. You know, I was probably gonna. No, I won't say it. I've said it too many times. No, I'm just gonna bomb again. Forget it. Assia later on.
You know what Einstein said about insanity? It's repeating the same experiment more than once, expecting different results. So keep going, man. Eventually, someone will laugh.
Well, you know what? Assia laughed before. I think it was out of pity, actually.
No, it was not. No,
it was actually. Was it really good?
It was. It tickles me. Yes.
Oh my god! So there is hope. Assia later became a producer on Relationship Killers. How did this evolve? She was an actor, no experience whatsoever as a producer. All of a sudden, she becomes a producer and doing a pretty darn good job at it. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, Assia is one of the most intelligent, hardworking people I've ever met in my entire life. And I cast her, again, not because of anything about what she is, any of her demographics. I cast her because she was the single greatest person for the role. And, I've told this story several times, but in the sides that I put together for the audition packet, I wanted for the talent to do somewhat of a lunge or a leap at the camera towards the end, because we have to believe that Braven has reached that apex of aggression and exhaustion and love, this all at the same time. And Assia was one of the only people to do it, and it scared the shit out of me. And so I was like, all right, here's someone I can work with. And then it wasn't until later that I found out she also served in the Army. She also has military experience, and then I'll let her speak on it. But eventually she became someone more important to me than a business partner. So
let's go to Assia. Now that we're on the subject of producing, did this turn out to be a pleasant surprise for you? Is producing what you thought it would be, or is it much better than you thought it would be?
Well, I didn't have an idea of what producing was. I like during post, once we had finished filming, I think it was like around April, end of April, I was just curious about how everything was going. So I reached out to Noah just to say, hey, like, how's post-production going? Like, as an actor, I'm also just very curious about filmmaking. And so Noah just indulged my curiosity by like being like, hey, like, if you want to know things, like, you are welcome to come to these meetings. You are welcome to be a part of this process. And I came on board and like actually had things to say, and we would have meetings, and he like took me seriously, and it was just I don't know. I think it's just about being all hands in, and because I'm learning, and Noah is very gracious in allowing me to like be present with him in all of these endeavors. It's just a learning process, and I think anyone who wants to know more about filmmaking, if you show an interest, someone's going to open a door for you to let you learn. So yeah, I'm just a learner. I'm a lifelong learner, and that's kind of how I came across like being a producer.
So is producing a role that you want to embrace in the future as well?
I like the creative side of producing for sure. I like being on a project from inception, or conception, I should say, until it's in the can and then through post. I like being a part of all of that, and I like helping. So I think yes, my focus is of course acting, but producing has kind of opened the doors for my mind to see like, oh wow, there's a lot of opportunities in film outside of acting, and so yeah, producing is definitely going to be something I'm going to continue to do for sure.
Noah, you mentioned that you have stories going on Earth, others in space. That sounds like a multiverse concept, just like the show Rob's Inner Circle's producer Jenny Duhane, Patty Saragosa, and myself playing, and it's called Daily Struggles. We know a thing or two about intertwining worlds in the multiverse. What's your interpretation about all of this conception?
For Lethal Ladies specifically, the universe of Lethal Ladies.
Yeah, Lethal Ladies. Yes.
Yeah, I think the easiest way to explain it is summed up in attention deficit disorder, because basically I never come up with story. I never arrive at a project through plot. I always come to it from the point of view of character, whether it's a lead character or if it's an ensemble of characters. And for me, I would continually come up with ideas for characters that I didn't have stories for. And so they would just kind of get placed in the ether that is the scary part of the back of my brain. And so they would float around and bounce into each other's stories from time to time. And it would be more and more interesting the way it goes. And then what's really fun is like I'll meet my cast are phenomenal artists. They're willing to go the distance with me, which means everything. I'm an extremely difficult person to work with when it comes to the writer-director relationship. But I also all of us made the experience as enjoyable as possible, because of the amount of prep that I put into my projects, and because of the care that I put into the people that I work with. Because at the end of the day, if we get the greatest film that sells, makes mega millions, if I find out that there was a bad experience on set for someone, that's going to be the memory I incorporate for that film for the rest of my life. So it's very important to me to work with people who are polite, professional, and complete badasses, and that's what I found in this cast here.
Noah, after watching your movie, and it was a really brilliant movie, I had the honor of watching it. Did you wish you cast yourself in that movie? Did you regret not casting yourself in that movie?
No. I put myself in stuff all the time. not in any important way, you know, never more than the guy with a cigarette or something. But I had toyed with playing the role of the therapist as simultaneous, like therapeutic experiment, along with you know, working with my cast in an intimate way, because I do expect for them to go as deeply method as I do, which is not everyone's willing to do so, especially in film and TV. Now, theater actors, which I tend to work with a lot, love to it. Where film and TV, it's very, very shallow, and you know, I'm saving it for my close up, and you know, that kind of attitude. Whereas for me, I want people who are willing to go the distance and are willing to work on it in an amicable, familial environment, so that we can feel safe and comfortable to make big, bold choices, but we do those choices in prep and in rehearsal. That way, when we get on set, the only surprise is the quality jump of the choices, not the actual you know, where they're coming from. I always know what I want way before we get on set, and then it's my job just to like marionette everyone into the perfect you know, landscape and desires, but without being manipulative. So how do you collaborate with individuals and get the results that you want, but also let them have their own voices and storytelling in the project as a whole, which is where diversity and inclusion is important. Not so much in the fact that it's important for you know, demographics to have representation. It is, but from a business standpoint, the more diverse a storytelling palette is, the higher quality the story is. So if everyone's sitting around the storytelling table are straight white males, that's the narrative you're going to get. So yeah, diversity and inclusion are important, but again, it's more of a business profitability plan strategy compared to a charity move, which a lot of people, I think, feel is the way to go. And I love mentorship, but you know, besides combat and storytelling in general, mentoring and giving shadowing opportunities, and you know, giving help to the people the way it was never afforded to me when I was desperately trying to come up, is some of the best, you know, mental illness help for me in general. So it's like a simultaneous labor of love that is a passion, because I'm also getting the opportunity to mentor and better others, which in turn betters myself.
Right.
So Noah, you studied both for theater and acting for TV and film. Where is it exactly that you studied?
Where didn't I study? So I know I couldn't get into, you know, film school. I barely graduated middle school. I you know, so I did the whole, I would and in summers I would drive up to just north of Atlanta, which is now where Marvel has their studio now. But back then it was a pretty predominant indie film environment. And I would just sneak onto sets, and eventually, I don't tell the story often, but eventually I got a guy fired and took his job on one of the sets, because the second AD was like, you know, this is the third or fourth project I've worked on with this kid, and he never shows up on time. He always brings a bad attitude with him. And the only reason he's on the project is because his family caters for craft services, and he's trying to pad his resume. And I was like, well, if I can get craft services taken care of and the walkies here within 2 hours, can I have the gig? And he's like, if you can do that, you can have the rest of the project.
Wow, that's crafty.
Yeah. So I you know, there's a restaurant right outside of Atlanta that I frequented a lot and got all of the craft services for free. And then I was able to borrow walkies, or I kind of stole them from the guy I was replacing. But then later I found out he had stole them from the Southern Savannah College of Art and Design, which is one of the biggest film schools in the Southeast. Oh, and so I returned those, and then I got a gift card for returning to walkies. So I was like, you know, that was the one time in my life where karma paid off in my favor. And I've worked my way up the filmmaking ranks to line producer over the span of 13 years of a career, and all while also doing stand-up comedy and mental illness advocacy.
Assia, let's get to know you a little bit. As a child, what were your aspirations as you were growing up?
As a child, I wanted to be a sports attorney. I grew up playing basketball from like the age of 4, and as I got older, I was like, I probably won't do the WNBA, but I do want to go to law school. So I wrote this out in my 3rd grade like booklet of dreams. Like, I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to go to Duke Law, and I'm going to become a sports attorney for NBA players. And that was what I wanted to do for a while. And then when I got to middle school, high school, I started doing theater, which I had already grown up doing dance, tap, jazz, ballet from a young age. But I started doing actual drama in middle school. And I was like, this is fun. Like, this is actually very rewarding. But then you go to college and you're like, college, I need to get practical. I need to get serious. So at the ripe age of 18, I was like, I'm going to study business. I don't want to go to law school because I don't like school that much. So I don't want to like continue school. But I studied business, got a finance degree, joined the military. And yeah, so I didn't do that dream at all. But I realized that I was passionate about acting in middle school, and I just never thought of it as a feasible career. It just seemed like a hobby. Like, this is what people do on the side, and only like the 1%ers make it. So it's not, yeah.
So you actually went out doing what a lot of people would give up doing, and you just said, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, why not? I was in the military for 6 years. It was actually my last deployment that I kind of thought to myself, I'm doing this. I'm not afraid to lose my life in this career. But I am afraid to pursue acting. Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. But yeah, I got out of the military in 2020. I moved to
It makes perfect sense to me.
I mean, right. It does. Like, I mean, yes, and not to get too dark, but the fear of death is not on Asia's list at all. But yeah, so I figured, why not just try it, see what happens. And that's what I'm doing. I'm just having a good time. Just really having a good time.
Well, you mentioned something about basketball, that you were into basketball when you were young. Do you have a favorite basketball team?
Not anymore.
No.
There's no loyalty. Players move too often. I grew up in the 90s where players stayed on those teams, and it was like, so I grew up in the Kobe era, Kobe when he was number 8, that era.
Oh.
AI. I love Allen Iverson. He was my favorite player of all time. But yeah, players now, everyone moves around, so it's hard to have a favorite team. I enjoy the sport. I enjoy watching it, but I don't have a team for basketball.
It's become a business. That's what the whole thing is.
Yes, and so it's kind of no fun to be loyal to a team anymore because your favorite player might leave. So,
have you done any other form of performing arts, such as radio, theater, or even comedy?
I've done theater, a lot of theater as a kid through my teenage years, and yeah, now I've done a few short films and a few features. But no, I haven't done comedy or radio.
Well, we found out recently that you've written a book, and it's something that really tickled Noah's fancy, and he has nothing but praise about this book. So tell us a little bit what this book is all about.
The book is called I Am Not a Poet, and it is a book of prose. Prose, prose. It's just narrative without any cadence or anything like that. No poetic rhythm to it. And it's a bunch of narratives that I wrote over the course of a few years, that I'd been writing to myself, really, thoughts that would come to mind while I was like hiking or in bed or whatever. And I felt like it might be nice to share with people and give them a space to feel seen, but privately. Feel seen privately. So the book it's a book of prose, but on each page there's a blank space for the reader to write their thoughts. So when I'm reading books, whether it's poetry or like Dune, I write in the margins of the book. When if I read something, I'll like highlight it and then I'll write a thought. And I do that all the time. And I thought like that could be something for people to use, and people might find out something about themselves when they read some of my own thoughts, and they'll be like, oh, that makes sense. It doesn't make sense, or whatever. So yeah, that's what it is.
So for all of the viewing audience who would like to obtain a copy, where can they get a copy of this book?
They can go to shop.AssiaLau'ren.com. So shop SHOP and then Asia ASSIA Lau'ren LAUREN.com, and it will be right there for them to buy.
Is there an audio version available?
No, I don't know if I'll do that. Ooh, I don't like my voice that much, so I don't.
You have a great voice. You'd be great for voiceover work, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, I thought about voiceover. An audiobook is there's no character there. It's just me reading.
How funny would it be if we got James to do it?
That would be, yes.
Well, you see, there's a possibility. We can have James do the audio version of your book about poetry, which is not about poetry anyway. With all of these writing skills you've been honing for the past 10 years, are you considering writing screenplays sometime in the near future?
Yeah, actually, yes.
Oh.
Yes, I'm writing now. I mean, I'm writing like handwriting in a notebook. I'm not using any of the script formatting software yet. I'm going to get with Noah a little later about that. But I am currently drafting a story, my parents' love story. Yeah, so that'll be something I write, and then maybe I might want to direct it. Definitely will be starring in it as my mom, but yeah, we'll see how that.
Let me guess. You're going to cast Noah in the movie.
No.
No?
No.
Payback. I don't know.
I wouldn't put her through that.
Well, you know what? You get to yell at him for a change, no?
No.
I don't.
He'll definitely be helping me. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully, I'm crossing my fingers that he'll help. But yeah, it'll be their love story. My parents are just great people, and I love their story. And so, yeah, that's what.
Well, we're looking forward to it. Please keep us posted. Anytime you two have anything going on, anything happening, keep us posted, because we like to give shout outs on our show.
We'll be back. Trust us.
We'll be back.
Oh, we got Terminators here. They'll be back. So let's get to know Noah a little bit now. Noah, how about you? When you were growing up, what were your aspirations besides going into comedy or whatever aspirations you had?
I think it was all storytelling at the end of the day for me. I didn't come from an artistic community, part of the world, family, anything of that nature. It was very much, get a job and pay the bills, raise a family. And I did want portions of that for my life, but I knew that if I was ever going to have a shot at being not sad for long periods of my life, it was going to have to involve storytelling in one aspect or the other, or combat. Combat's great for as a distraction, and then so as writing, directing, and stand-up comedy. Ironically, it feels so safe for me, which is odd for a lot of people who might have stage fright and things of that nature. But for me, it's an extremely therapeutic endeavor. And then working on set with actors is just truly where I am, the least sad. Character prep, getting excited about character choices with an actor is like so much fun, because I already know what I need from them and what choice I want them to make. So I have to somewhat Mr. Miyagi and Marionette their backstory and their psychology as a character together. So we Asia talks about writing in the margins of books as a kid, And to this day, and I do the same thing with my cast. I make sure that without sharing with one another, we're on the same page as far as subtext goes. For me, subtext is everything, every step of the way. So I asked them to rewrite the entire screenplay without dialogue. And if they have to use dialogue, instead of saying the words I put, just put what the characters are thinking and where they're going, what their directions are. And then that gives me a really good idea of where I need to help renegotiate and shape things if we're going off kilter of my original vision. But if I've done my job right, if I've cast the right people and I've put the right people in the right positions, it's a lovely experience together.
It really is. Yeah.
With the love, Noah, that you have for cooking and your skills you have as a filmmaker, did you consider ever starting your own cooking show? For example, Gordon Ramsay, he's the host of Kitchen Nightmares and Hell's Kitchen. He's been doing it for many years. I could just imagine you on a cooking show.
Yeah, I've told people jokingly multiple times throughout my life that one of my biggest goals and desires is to have my own celebrity chef cooking talk and variety show. And what I want to do is like bring all of my passions together. So have, celebrity guests and guests of all kinds from all different walks of life, where I make them a meal. And sometimes we'll make it specific to cinema, like, in a pie in the sky world. How great would it be to have Scorsese on the podcast, and then make the meals from his films with him, and have him talk about working with his family and stuff as they were like stuff. I'm gonna cry now, but like stuff like the stuff that's so that I care about so much, of like creating that familial environment with my cast and crew, but then doing it with people I admire and people who inspire me. But not only like people like Scorsese, but other people who struggle with mental illness issues, and then run a podcast that talks about what their experience has been, whether that's inside the entertainment industry or from any walk of life, and then use it as a platform to slowly destigmatize and take down the fear around needing help, asking for help, and reaching out, and being able to get people to the right resources when they need. Because there's no reason how easy it is to struggle in our country, and how difficult it is to get the guts to ask for help, and when you do, how difficult it is to actually get help. So I would love to have my own cooking show. I've always wanted to. Every time I make a meal, I slip back into mentorship and training. I love talking to people about why I do the things I do and why I don't do the things I don't do. Because I think it's all around betterment. It all comes back to how do we get better together so that the world's a better place for other people. I feel like I rambled quite a bit. I'm not sure how we got here, but that's that.
He's a great cook.
Well, Assia, I was about to ask, how about you? Do you enjoy cooking? And what are your favorite dishes?
I do enjoy cooking. Oh man, what are my favorite dishes? I make everything, but I do. So I love making sauces, like different types of sauces. So I do a lot of usually pastas with different types of sauce, but there's one that I like with, it's basically spaghetti.
What's your signature sauce?
It's a marinara sauce, but with a barbecue base. So a hickory barbecue base. So it's spicy, sweet with the tomatoes, but the sweetness of the barbecue.
I'll be right over.
Yeah, lots of onion and garlic. But very spicy. I do like spice, but yep.
And did you ever taste? Well, you actually hinted that Noah is a very good cook, so I would presume that you've tasted some of his food.
Every time, I'm gonna say every time we've had rehearsals, meetings, he cooks for everybody.
Yeah, and I don't know how to make a small meal.
No.
To save my life. There's always a huge homeless donation at the end of every production meeting,
We'll have 4 or 5 people in his house, and he's we're all getting sent home with plates of food.
Yeah, and I'm one of those aggravating keto diet people, and so I only cheat on Sundays technically, So a lot of times I'm making food that I can't even eat. Like I can only have like the meat and the vegetables from the meal if they're not covered in sugar.
Oh.
But I love to cook, and I love. Someone told me this one time, and it really stuck with me. Is that if you want to know how deep I get and how neurotic I am with prep, just watch me make a meal. Watch me start with prep, making a meal, and go all the way through to post production, which is putting it on the table and presenting it to people. But like it's an endeavor, and like nothing is like from a bag or I hate seasoning that's sat for more than a week. So I take a lot of detail into prepping and getting ready for meals, and the same manner also with film and storytelling.
So let's get back to filming here a little bit. Assia, what are some of the films that you've played in that you enjoyed the most?
So there's one coming out called oh wow, sorry, I just popped up on the screen. It's called Mile 19, directed by Howard Clay Jr. It's a film about human trafficking, and it was interesting. That's the first feature I've ever done, and it's about a topic that is near and dear to my heart. So getting to play a survivor in that film, and there's going to be a prequel coming out, but that's my first one, my first feature, and it was very rewarding. It was for so many reasons, but mainly because of the aspect of human trafficking and exploring that and shedding light on that, because like Noah says with mental illness, there are a lot of issues that movies or filmmaking in general helps tell the world about, issues that most people don't really think about or care about. And so that's one part of storytelling that's always really rewarding, is getting to shed light on issues like that.
So I think you better set time in your agenda, because Patricia Chica wants to have a production meeting with you so she can taste some of your delicious recipes.
Done. See, we'll get stuff's happening. Things are in motion. Open. I better not say that. Never mind. Invitation to a small group of people. But yeah, I love cooking. I love cooking.
Wow, that's great. I wish I had some cooking skills. I have talents in other forms of art, but when it comes to cooking, I overcook a boiled egg. So.
Oh, honey. Oh,
there's no hope. There is no hope. Maybe I should go on a keto diet, whatever that means. Anyway.
In Goodfellas, when they're in prison and they're shaving the garlic into the Listerine strips to put into the oil to fry. I go through that same level of with every film, with every meal.
And with every film, he was right.
Yeah, with every film. But that's another situation that I would love to do on the show. Is here's Robert Rodriguez. He puts his culture food into all of his work as well. He's the reason I love breakfast tacos now, is because of his filmography. I would love to, have filmmakers and actors and people from all different walks of life. And just one aspect of the show is making them a meal and talking to them about, those type of topics, whether it be social issues and stuff that are near and dear to my heart.
It's time to break for station identification. You guys got your glasses ready?
Yeah.
Yes.
You folks are tuned in to Rob's Inner Circle. Happy Valentine's.
Happy Valentine's.
Hey, so let's get back to you in terms of the military. You served in the military. On behalf of myself and everybody here at the production of Rob's Inner Circle, thank you so much for your services. Assia, talk to us a little bit about your experience in the military and what is it that you did there and how long did you stay?
Okay. So I was in for 6 years. I commissioned first out of Howard University. And I joined the Army as an artillery officer. I was one of 3 of the first female artillery officers in this infantry brigade combat team over in Europe. So yeah, we jumped out of planes, we shot really big cannons, and that was my life for 3 years as an artillery officer. And yeah, did a lot of cool missions. And then I switched over to intelligence, and I went to 10th Special Forces Group and did intelligence. I was a human intelligence and counterintelligence officer for group and did different types of jobs with them. But yeah, no, my military career was definitely different from most people. So I joined in 2014, right after Russia annexed Crimea, and that was a whole situation. So the military's focus shifted from the Middle East to Eastern Europe, and that became my focus. So right now, with what everything is happening with Russia and Ukraine, the situation, I'm like, oh God, please, like, but no, that was my life was pretty much Eastern Europe. We did a few tours in the Middle East, but mostly I was in Eastern Europe.
What do you feel the military brought to you in terms of internal growth?
You said in terms of just growth?
No, internal growth. How did you grow as a person?
Well, because I was an officer, you're responsible for the lives and well-being of your soldiers. So learning how to care about people, how to take care of people, and how to make sure that people take care of themselves. I will say, hands down, that was the biggest lesson I learned. And by taking care of, I don't mean just professionally, I mean personal lives, making sure people are healthy, making sure people, if they're not healthy, they're getting the help that they need, whether it's in their family life or just their personal life. So that's something that the military taught me at a young age. Because again, I joined right after college. So I was 22. I was in the Army from 22 to 28. So my 20s was military, and it was a lot of taking care of people and being responsible for people, and being accountable. And so I'll say, yeah, those are the 2 main things for me. The military helped me grow.
So, Noah, you as well were in the military, and to you as well, from myself and everybody here at Rob's Inner Circle and all the general public, thank you, Noah, as well, for serving in the military for us. Noah, tell us, in terms of the military, what were your functions there while you were there?
So for the Army, I jumped around between working as 31 Bravo and 31 Echo, as well as originally a 42 Alpha, which are all numbers that you don't care about whatsoever. But I worked in military law enforcement and military correction and human resourcing for the U.S. Army. And then after I got into the inactive Ready Reserve, I would just make rank every time I hit time and grade, time and service. And I started working for private military outfits who would contract with, DOD, Secretary of State, and on occasion, the diplomatic security service. And we would do things like VIP extraction and counter narco terrorism in North Africa and some parts of the Middle East. And all of that brought to me just a more diverse and extreme collection of memories, which was a kind of a purpose-driven thing. I mentioned earlier, I knew that as a kid I wouldn't be able to get into film school or anything like that. So I studied theater to have a more empathetic approach to working with actor. I studied writing as much as possible. I did Dov Simmons 2-day film school, which was phenomenal. if you want to go do film school and it works for you in your situation, that's great. But for me, learning kinesthetically and building up from grunt, E1 up, was very helpful for me to learn how to empathetically run an entire set, because I've done every position there is on set. Not well, mind you. The only thing I've done well is writing and directing and line producing. And unfortunately, line producing is where most of my income comes from, but I'm hoping to transition that into writing and directing specifically, with the stand-up and the mental illness advocacy as an outlier.
Which brings us exactly to that stand-up comedy. You've done some stand-up comedy for quite a while. You're an experienced stand-up comedian, and you're a very successful one as well. Tell us a little bit about how you got into comedy.
I studied theater, I studied improv, and ever since I was a kid, I just loved telling stories. It's not all that scary of a thing for me to do. It's something I love to do, and it's very cathartic. You stand on stage at night and beg people to love you, you might have some problems, and I do, but I love telling stories, and if I could punch them up and use the writing rules of three for comedy instead of the writing rules of three for tension and storytelling, then why not flex both muscles? Why not be able to creatively entertain using very different styles of writing, but still very, very similar portions, especially my material now, which is all brand new because of the mental illness advocacy aspect that I'm adding to my already too many hyphens, multi-hyphened title. It's fresh, it's new, and I'm getting a lot of surprisingly positive responses, especially with new material. Normally it depends on the joke, or the bit, whatever you're structuring. It can be 6 weeks to 6 months of workshopping until it's ready for to be good to go, recorded or shot. And day one, I went live on Instagram and told everybody what I was doing, and 3 people showed up at my show because I was really nervous about going down this new avenue of talking about something that's very near and dear to my heart, but also very scary, extremely scary to talk about. 30 years of my life, I didn't tell anyone anything, and now I'm trying to make it where anyone can feel like they don't have to be fearful of reaching out or thinking that they're alone, because they're not. And if I can be some kind of bridge to getting them help, I want to do that. And so that's what the material is all about. So it's less right now I'm working with branding and stuff like that, but it's I'm calling it's MIA because in combat, if your status comes back as not killed, but we also don't know where you are, it's missing in action. That's what you're referred to as MIA. And I feel like mental illness advocacy has been MIA in our society forever. So MIA is what we're branded as. And for the stand-up specifically, instead of me being on stage with a mic, I come off stage with a mic and sit down with the audience, and we all do like a support group thing and have an open conversation about it. But we never show faces, and we disguise their voices. So there's no problem with them. Like, say I do a show that's all about victims of sexual harassment, victims of trauma revolving around childhood, whatever. I can openly have a conversation with them about my experience with it, and I can have an open conversation that comes from empathy, which they don't often see. But still, I'm going to make fun of them. I'm going to do the thing that cancel culture doesn't want you to do. I'm going to make fun of them because the way Noah cares about you is that I'm giving you shit, right, Asia?
Yes.
Like if I cross that level of care and love for you, it means that I'm going to riff back and forth with you and be able to make light of situations. And again, it's not about making fun of the individuals, but making fun of the situation. that's everything to bringing levity into such a a dark situation. And it's been pretty phenomenal. It's like it was very scary, just the first time talking about it on stage was anxious, but those two people, I did 3 shows a night the whole time I was in New York, and those two people who came to the second show brought 3 people the next night. And just again open floor conversation, and then using my experience and my love for them to generate the comedy, like the jokes. They were just, instead of sitting down to write 3 jokes for a bit, and for every joke making sure I have a punchline, a setup, and it just goes. It's just whatever. This is organic.
I'm so sorry, we're running short of time. I
no
wanted
problem.
to ask you about the Freemasonry, and then I want to go to Asia for a last question. So Noah, you're a 32nd degree Freemason and a member of the Knights Templar. Tell us a little bit about the experience, roles in the organization, what it means to you and to your community.
Oh, if I told you that, I'd have to kill you. No. I've always been in love with allegory. I've always been in love with story, and there's so much around Freemasonry and the Illuminati and York Rite, the Knights Templar, Scottish Rite, the Knights of Rose Croix, and I never expected to be able to approach it whatsoever, because there's so many misconceptions, just like with mental illness, about Freemasonry, and so I just found it interesting. And then through the military, actually, I met tons of Masons in the military, and I reached out and explained my interest. And it's a vouching process, and they do an investigation that is I to this day hold a top secret security clearance, but I'm pretty sure the Masonry background check was much more in depth than what the private military outfits and the Army put me through. But after that, you just learn. And what I took away from Masonry is, like, the more I opened up and learned about, the more I realized I didn't know. You know what I mean? So, like, I would just apply that same kind of mystique and mystery to my writing process. So, like, I purposely never know anything my characters don't when I'm writing for the first time.
So what does it mean to have a 32nd degree Freemason, considering the top is 33?
Well, yeah, very few people get 33. It's one of those things that, like, most Masons will tell you, if you're trying to get 33, you'll never get 33. It's most Masons who do get it posthumously, actually. So, I'm trying to think of what I can say and what I can't say, but the first 3 degrees are your up to your inner apprentice, your fellow craft, and your master Mason degree. And those 3, everyone has to go through for what they call Blue Lodge, which is once you get Master Mason, technically there's no higher role that you can have. You can work your way up through the positions in your lodge. You can go and pursue other bodies, like I did York Rite, Scottish Rite, and the American Legion. But I found out that studying through all of the degrees, York Rite, Scottish Rite, there's just tons of allegory out there, and untapped subcultures and untapped prose and possible characters that are in existence. And that's what excites me the most. So yeah, I'm a 32nd degree Freemason because I worked my way up to Master Mason, and then I went into Scottish Rite and worked my way up to 32, and got into the York Rite and worked my way up to I think it's a slightly different scale, but the last degree of York Rite is membership into the Knights Templar, which is where most of people, like, if you see a sketch or someone's making fun of Freemasonry, they're talking about most of the practices that are involved with the Knights Templar.
Asia, to close off the show, the last word goes to you.
Oh goodness! Oh goodness!
So how? Look, I know it's going to get all emotional about it. Asia, how do you spend time in the movie set? How do you spend time preparing? When you're on a movie set, it's like you're in your bubble. Like, stay away from me. How big is that bubble?
No, I I'm not that type of actor. I mean, one, Noah does a lot of prep prior to anyways, but even me as a person, I'm gonna prep everything so that when I get to set, it's just fluid. So I know I don't separate myself from people. I don't have to like take a minute to like be in the moment. Not to say that I like easily slip into different personalities. I don't want to make it sound like I have that going on, but I easily slip into different personalities. I don't have to, no. So there's no, I don't need a zone to like go into to get there. That's just not how I perform.
Assia Lau'ren and our amazing Noah A. Waters III. Thank you so much for joining us in Rob's Inner Circle on this Valentine evening. And we do wish you the very, very best of success with the Relationship Killers and all of your future endeavors. And please keep us posted.
Thank you so much.
Hey, here's to you. What a great show. Thank you so much.
What a great show. Thank you for having us.
Ooh.
Yeah, thank you so much. Be on the lookout for updates with Lethal Ladies, because they're coming.
We're going to keep you posted, folks. You stay tuned to Rob's Inner Circle. Noah and Assia will be coming back for you after the show closes for the famous meet and greet.
All right.
Stay tuned.
Hey.
Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in to Rob's Inner Circle tonight. We had directly from Hollywood, Assia Lau'ren and Noah A. Waters III. They were involved with the film Relationship Killers. Stay tuned this upcoming Wednesday at noon when I co-host with Esther Brzezinski, the popular noon hour show, Noon Hour Out of the Box. And this week it's going to be all about procrastination. It's going to be an interesting show. You're going to see Esther and myself being at odds for the first time in a long time. And you can also tune in every Saturday at accessradio.ca, where we play Noon Hour Out of the Box from noon to 3 p.m. And this week it's going to be Burnout. And we have a special with our special guest, Duncan So from the burnoutclinic.com. Next week, we're going to have another interesting show as well. It's also about cinema. We're going to have award-winning filmmakers Élie Jean Tachi, Sandra G. Mathieu, and Pierre Villepet. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning in. We're going to be seeing you next week. Same time, same place, same reason. God bless.
Hey, babe, could you do me a favor?
Sure, babe.
Remind me to